All right, thank you everybody for joining us this afternoon. Meredith is the GIS analyst at the Durham County Stormwater Division. She holds a Master's of Geospatial Information Science and Technology degree from NC State University. Meredith has experience in private consulting, academic research, education, and local government.
Thank you. All right. Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about stormwater GIS, my favorite thing. And specifically, I'm going to be talking about how we use Survey123 to manage our stormwater GIS data program. Next slide. All right. As we mentioned earlier, I'm at the Durham County Stormwater and Erosion Control Division. I've been there for about 2.5 years now, or no, 2 years. And yeah, next slide. All right, so just a little bit of background about Durham County Stormwater. We are combined with the Erosion Control Department just to provide a seamless process for the development community and the engineers that we work with. We issue stormwater permits and land disturbance permits for new development. We enforce DEQ environmental regulations to help protect our waters, and our regulations vary per watershed. We have a stormwater utility fee that we assess based on impervious areas per property in the county. We also do stream determinations and address illicit discharges, and then in general address any drainage complaints and any other concerns of our citizens. This is a condensed version of what we do. I could go on and on, but I think you get the picture. So next slide. All right. So a little bit of background. Previously, we were managing all of our information using paper project files in a sea of file cabinets. We had a in-person payment system. So if you had to pay a permit fee or a review fee, you had to come to our downtown Durham office. We also had a Sql database that we used to manage some of our basic project information. But our staff didn't like it. So they started like keeping track of things in spreadsheets and on whiteboards in the break room. And so first week of March in 2020, Durham City and County were hit with a malware attack from Russia. And everything go down. All of our systems were down, no email, no phones, no internet, nothing. And then the following week, COVID hit, and we realized we needed to really rein it in, figure out how we were going to get our work done. Next slide. All right. This is a capture of what our Sql database looked like. As you can see, it looks actually okay. Our IT department did a great job. But like I said, it just wasn't as functional. People kind of started to go off on their own, do their own thing. So it could use a little bit of improvement. Next slide. All right. So we really wanted to create a database with a geovisual component to manage all of our stormwater projects, to manage our permits, everything that I've mentioned so far, all of the things for our department. We needed to make sure that even though it had this geospatial component, that it was going to be easy for non-GIS users who might be a little bit scared of GIS, and also for more advanced users as well. We needed to manage geospatial and non-spatial data, and we needed to make sure it was accessible in the office and in the field. Next. So we decided to try out Survey123. You might have heard of Survey123 to be mainly used in the field, like for inspections, but I'm going to talk about maybe some more like outside the box solutions for Survey123. So first we started with a feature class and related tables in an SDE database. This was just compatible with our server infrastructure at the time, and allowed for multiple users to access the data at the same time. Shared as a feature service, and then from there created Survey123 forms based on the schema of the feature service and related tables. Next. All right, so this is just a glimpse of the SDE component. The Stormwater projects feature class contains all of our basic project data and the spatial components. I used one-to-many relationship classes to pair the non-spatial tables to the feature class. If you're wanting to do that in Survey123, it's important that those primary keys are based on global IDs because that's how Survey123 communicates. And anything separate from the stormwater projects needed to be separate or in a separate feature class because Survey123 can only handle one feature class at a time. Next. All right, so when you pull in a feature service into Survey123 Connect, this is what the schema will look like. So at the top, we have the stormwater projects, and that is the feature layer. And then beneath it, those are all of the related tables. So if you share it together, it'll come into Survey123 together. In the middle column, all of the fields in your data convey, and those become fields in Survey123, in addition to all of the field properties. So if you're setting it up that way, you want to make sure your field properties are good to go right from the beginning. Next. All right, so then we get to designing the form. So right now we use three primary forms, erosion control, stormwater, and then a separate one for our stormwater control measures, also known as SCMs. I researched form techniques and XLS form techniques. That is behind Survey123 Connect specifically. And with that, you can do automatic field calculations, conversions. You can add if statements and relevant statements. You can customize the appearance. And most importantly, I configured the form so that the user can place a point on the map, which will tie the non-spatial information to the geospatial data. And in the next few slides, I'm going to get into more specifics. Next slide. All right, so one of my favorite functions of Survey123 Connect was using the grid function. So with a grid layout, you can really maximize your space. You can put multiple questions side by side. And what I found with this is it felt a little more interactive with our users. It felt more like a database interface than, oh, I'm just filling out like a Google form. Like it just felt a little bit more official. Next. So yes, you can also use HTML tags. Don't be intimidated, it's really easy. So in the label column all the way on the right, you can add just basic HTML tags. You can add headings. You can make things bold and italics just for further customization. Next. Default values. That was also very important to our inspectors. For example, when you're entering FRO information, which if you don't know what that is, it's basically payment information. 9 times out of 10, they're going to be from North Carolina. So we went ahead and helped them out and made that a default value. But they can always change a default value if they want to change it. Next. All right, automatic field calculations. So this can also be done in Connect. You can see all the way on the right. Those are where the calculations are, where you can enter those in. So fields are populated based on information in other fields. This is an example of a disturbed area. Sometimes we get an application that's in feet or square feet. Sometimes we get it in acres. So we set up that automatic conversion because we're particularly interested in square feet, but sometimes we get that value in acres. Next. So this is what it looks like in the form. If you, let's say you enter 25,000 into the square feet field, it's automatically calculated in acres. And then if you look below it, we have a rule that if we enter in something greater than 20,000 square feet, then a plan is automatically required. So that field is checked, yes. And and then the user doesn't even have to think about what to do. Next. Okay, relevant fields. So this is when fields are triggered based on responses to previous questions. So that is configured in the relevant column, again, showed on the right. Next. So this just kind of helps simplify our workflow. So in the first screenshot, let's say you're doing an inspection and everything looks good and you don't see any violations, then your form looks nice and simple and pretty. And but if you do notice a NPDES violation, for example, and you click yes, then certain fields appear that are relevant, such as like a description, and then you have certain actions that you need to take from there. And so those will show up. Next. All right. So it was also really important to customize the web map within Survey123. Here I just added some reference layers, like some of our priority watersheds, just so that you knew whether or not you were in there. Also, for us, it's really important to know if we're inside or outside city limits. The user can type in an address and the map will automatically take them there, or coordinates, or they can also pan in there as well, but they don't have to automatically know where an address is. Next. All right. Just for fun, you can change the additional appearances and the style of the form by changing the colors and background and give it a nice banner and things like that. Next. Okay, one last screenshot of the form behind the spreadsheet behind the form. HTML tags are used in the label, and the appearance column can further customize how those questions appear. Everything I've talked about so far is heavily referenced in the Esri literature, so don't feel like it's super fancy. It's all right there and easy to learn. Next. All right. And then this is what our stormwater form looks like when you open it up. Again, stormwater projects is at the top, and all of the following tables are initially collapsed just so nobody has to scroll until they get what they want. All right, next. So once we had a good system in place for entering data, we really wanted to figure out how to tie it all together. How do we view our data? How do we edit it? How do we work with it, etc. So we start off with just a basic web application. We take it to the next level a little bit later, but right now we're starting off with a web application. You can view a visual display of the projects. You can view the non-spatial tables as well. You can edit data and link back to the Survey123 forms. Next. All right, here's another view. I added in some filter widgets just right in there in AGOL, and this comes in handy during annual report season when, oh, I just need to know, like, can you show me all of the wet ponds? And then you can export that as a spreadsheet. Next. Okay, so within our web application, we use customized pop-ups. So I learned some arcade expressions and additional HTML expressions to customize the appearance of the pop-ups in the map. I created custom URLs to link back to Survey123, open a survey, pre-populate fields, and add points to the map. If you haven't played around with arcade and custom URLs, again, there's so much documentation out there, and I highly recommend it. This is an example. This picture on the left is what a custom URL looks like. Next. And then this is what it looks like on the front end. So we've got two buttons right here. Basically in the map, you can go to a parcel, click on a parcel. And then you have the option to either create a new project or add a new SCM. So let's say you create a new project, you click on that parcel, click on the button, and then it takes you straight to the Survey123 form. And in there, it takes the parcel information in the map and automatically preloads that into the Survey123 form. So that can save on a lot of time. And also, sometimes we get applications and they have an address and a list of pins, but maybe the pins have changed and they no longer match. So we got to, make sure that the engineers and the developers are looking at the most recent data. Next. Okay. This is the what the pop-up looks like for stormwater projects. If you want to add an SCM, there's a similar button there. It will take you to the corresponding Survey123 form and pre-populate it with all of the stormwater project data so that the user isn't having to enter information in multiple times. Also, you can look at any related records using the link down at the bottom. So you can look at any permits, inspections, reviews, all related to that stormwater project. Next. Okay, so I say future work, but a lot of this is actually like currently in development or we're already past it. But we are working on an experience builder application to further simplify the workflow. Right now, we just have separate web apps for stormwater and erosion control and streams. But we would like to put that all in one place. I'll show you that in a second. We would like to expand the database to include our stream determinations, illicit discharge, and some of the complaint cases that come in as well. We are currently able to do this now. We can export permit placards from the database based on the data entered into the database, and also inspection forms. When someone's in the field doing an inspection, it can be exported as a PDF. We set up webhooks so that those inspection reports can just be emailed out to any relevant contacts. So project managers and homeowners and things like that. And we also are working on dashboards to help us manage our inspections and see when permits are about to expire. That is currently in development. Next. All right, so this is a draft, emphasis on draft, of our experience builder, but basically kind of just looking like an interactive website kind of thing. All of this can actually currently be done in story maps as well. So you don't have to learn something new, but we were really interested in just the customizable interface of experience builder, but there's a bit of a learning curve there and it's just taking a little bit of time, but this is our next goal. And yeah, next. Okay, cool. So to summarize everything, and that was a lot of information, but we have been really happy with Survey123 and how we manage it to facilitate our stormwater projects, to store all of our information that we need and manage tasks for our departments. We have found that Survey123 is user-friendly for GIS users and non-GIS users, and it's a great way to manage both just tabular data and spatial data. Web apps with custom pop-ups, custom URLs, are used to visually display our data and link back to Survey123. Feature reports are used to create permit placards and inspection reports of data that's entered in. Webhooks are used to email out inspection results and actually populate our online file management system. And other ArcGIS tools are in the works to further simplify our processes and to provide additional functions. Next. I also just want to give credit to our friends at the City of Durham because they definitely helped out a lot in getting this project started. Next. All right, and here's my contact information. If you have any questions, if you run out of time, feel free to send me an email or a phone call. And yes, thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm going to repeat your question to the presentation. We're talking about going back to custom URLs and if that's done in Arcade. And yes, that is all Arcade. So you take the URL from, anytime you publish anything on ArcGIS Online, it's assigned a URL. And so you basically take that and then you just add things at the end. So you say like, oh, this field in this data set matches this field in this data set. And if you want to get super fancy, you can add in some HTML in there as well. But I tend to keep them a little separate because my brain personally can't handle that. Correct. So the question was if new data is created from the when you click on the parcel. And actually you're in control of that. So if you're wanting to create a new like a new point, a new record, you can do that, or you can edit something that's currently there, but it's not changing like the reference data, if that makes sense. Thank you for the question.
All right, well, we have no more questions in the room or online, so thank you everybody else for joining us today.